either on a folded blanket or a block or something that allows you to sit in comfort, that allows your hips to, your knees to be lower than your hips. Can I get you to mute yourselves actually, please? That'd be good, thank you. And it looks as though it's sunny there today, is it? Yeah. Thumbs up. Cool. Right, let's. Okie dokie. So now that we're in our seated position, let's just settle on our mats on this little oasis of calm that we can come to each time. And just notice how you're feeling today. So take a moment to have a fidget if you need to, get yourself nice and comfy. And then come into stillness, bringing your awareness to the alignment of your spine. And see if you can create as much space as possible between each and every vertebra. So growing tall all the way from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And let the shoulders be really heavy here. Let the elbows be bent. Just take the pressure out of the arms. Let the fingertips softly curl in towards the palms or rest gently in your lap. And just noticing what sensations you're aware of this morning. So noticing how you are. If there's any tension anywhere that we need to address later on. Hopefully the practice will be all-encompassing and will free off any tight spots. It's a nice opening practice today. Bringing your attention and awareness to your breath now, making sure that your belly is free to move with the movement of the diaphragm. With every exhale, just finding a little more to let go of. Maybe you want to set an intention for your practice today. Perhaps there's something in particular you wish to direct your energy to. Or perhaps there's something you wish to let go of. But just thinking about what that might be, something for you. Perhaps it's just to be present for the next hour and a bit. Or perhaps it's to let go. Or perhaps it's to be kind to yourself. So we're going to switch to Samavritti breathing now, which means equal action. And we're going to inhale for a count of 5, hold for a count of 5, and then exhale for a count of 5. So you might find it helpful to have your left hand in heart center, right hand on your belly, up to you if you don't want to place your hands there. And I will count the first few and then we'll do a few rounds so that you can tune into your own count and your own breath. So if everybody can exhale, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continuing with your own counted breath of 5, hold for 5. So just noticing how you feel while you're attaching the count to the breath. Letting the shoulders soften. Make this your last one. And let the breath find its own natural rhythm. Hands come back to your lap with knees wherever comfortable. And just take a moment here. Drop your chin to your chest. Realign your spine here nice and tall, so we've got good flexion in our cervical spine here. Maybe you'd like to open your eyes at this point. Entirely up to you. Just noticing if there's any tension in the shoulders, if you're aware of it one side more than the other. Then bring head and neck up to center here. Let's take our right ear to our right shoulder, really stretching away with the left shoulder now. Perhaps even bringing the fingertips to the mat and applying a little bit of pressure into the fingertips if they reach the floor. If they don't, just reach away strongly so that you're active in your left arm, so that we're increasing this stretch between ear and shoulder. Following the breath here, and then head and neck come back to center. And let's take the left ear over the left shoulder and then reach away with the right fingertips. So maybe applying a little bit of pressure into the fingertips if they reach the floor, just to assist this stretch here. Trying to get into the traps, the trapezius muscles that go kind of sit at the side of the neck towards the back. And we carry a lot of tension. And then back to center. And then let's take our gaze and look all the way around to the right. Soften in both shoulders here, really let them be heavy. And then center, and let's take the gaze all the way left. Again, dropping the shoulders, encouraging gravity to assist here. And then back to center. We're going to do the right ear over right shoulder again, but first we're going to lift our right arm, take it over the top of our head and just hook our middle finger into the top of our ear. So just grabbing a little bit of your ear here and take that ear over. So we're not dragging the head towards the floor, rather we're trying to extend in this sort of horizontal plane of movement here. So elbow comes out wide. And then reaching those fingertips down and away again. So hopefully you have just intensified this stretch a little bit more. Really feel into the trapezius muscles here. Breathing into the belly. And then slowly up to center. Let's bring that arm down. Set yourself tall, and then let's take the other arm up overhead, hooking the middle finger into the ear somewhere, because it just feels quite nice to do that. Taking the left ear over the left shoulder, and then reaching away. So thinking about the movement being that way rather than the head pulling down towards the floor. And let's just intensify that stretch, noticing what's going on. Noticing what's going on with your thighs, perhaps. One of my right thigh has just tightened up, trying to help in this stretch here. And then slowly bring the head and neck back to center and release. Bringing fingertips up to shoulders now. Let's start to do some nice, big, wide, expansive and slow shoulder circles. So really working into those nooks and crannies that we've started to warm up. And then reverse, let's go the other way. Your elbows are coming forward, lots of space between the shoulders and then squeezing them together. Next time elbows come forward, let's hold them there, but make sure you have relaxed your shoulders so that they are down rather than up where your ears. And let's see if we can point the elbows down here. So fingertips are just lightly resting on top of the collarbones here. We're pointing the elbows down. So again, we should be stretching into those trapezius muscles. We've widened in the shoulder girdle there. And now as we bring the shoulders up, let's take them as far back and behind as we can. Really squeeze your shoulders together here. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And bring the elbows down towards the floor, but still holding and maintaining that isometric stretch there. Squeezing and release. Ooh. So just taking the palms and roll them towards the back and then up, back. And now face the palms backwards and let's just pulse. So squeeze the shoulders together here, pulsing. And then let's turn the hands front and pulse towards the front. So we're not actually moving in much of the plane of movement forward and back, but we are just pulsing here. And then down. Hopefully you're creating some warmth here. And then up. And then some circles. Nice small circles here. Let's make them a little bit bigger and slower. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Are we feeling that? Are we feeling that back the other way? Big. Starting to get smaller, starting to get smaller, starting to get smaller. And relax. Oh, I'll take whatever move feels nice after we've woken up our shoulders this morning. And now taking the left hand, the left arm across the body and holding the left wrist with the right hand. I want you to try as best you can to keep your torso facing forward. And we're going to ease that arm across our body. So this is a deltoid stretch. The deltoids are the big muscles that kind of sit over and brace the top of the arm into the shoulder here. So trying to keep body front as we pull that arm across the body. So it should feel quite intense by holding the wrist here. So just noticing where you're actually feeling this. Breathing into the belly still. Awareness is in the uprightness of our posture. And then gently release. And let's take the right arm across the body, grabbing onto the wrist here. Let's recenter our torsos and just see. So we're almost just trying to isolate this movement of the shoulder here. And just pulling it round, noticing how the shoulder feels. See if there's anywhere in the shoulders that we can soften here, making sure your head and neck are mobile and they're not fixed stiffly into position. Maybe spreading the fingers right here, making sure that the palm is active as well, rather than just, we don't want any old passive limbs today. Everything's going to be working hard. I want you to feel like you've had a good practice this morning. And then let's just release that. You've got your strap to hand, and that'd be a good time to grab it. Sorry, Badger, can I have the strap? Thank you. Guardian of the strap. And we're going to chuck the tail of the strap over our right shoulder, but we're going to carry on holding onto it with our right hand. And our elbow is going to come up right next to our ear. So elbows pointing up, hand is down the back between my shoulder blades, as you can see. And then with the left hand, what we're going to do is reach behind, grab hold of the strap. So we're holding onto the strap tightly with both arms. And with the left arm, the lower arm, we are going to pull. So we are assisting, this is a facilitated stretch. We are pulling that elbow up even higher, and we are stretching into that bingo wing, or the triceps muscle. So really feeling the tension there. So there's a lot of tension going on in the left arm that's doing all the work, particularly in the forearm and the bicep. So sitting tall, really connect with your breath here. And then release. Ooh. Let's take the strap over the other shoulder. So we're going to drop the strap over the left shoulder. Left elbow comes up right beside the ear. So none of this winging out to the side. We want it hugged in. We're going to reach round with the right hand and we are going to pull. So we are creating tension in that left triceps there. Sitting nice and tall. Once you've got the pressure on and the tension in the arm, just take your attention elsewhere, see what else is going on. Where else can you either release and let go, perhaps in your thighs or your feet, Perhaps find your breath here. So you guys, it's lovely working with you because you're all getting to the stage where you all know the basics and we can really fine tune and get into the nitty gritty now. So we're going an inch wide but a mile deep. So although these are familiar postures, we can bring a new sense of discovery to them. And then let's just release there. Wiggle out the fingertips. And now leaving the belt where it is, perhaps allowing a bit more length over that shoulder. We're going to take it from the left shoulder to the right hip. So right hand comes to right hip, left hand comes behind, and we want that also to almost be at right hip. Can you see where my left hand is here? I'm wiggling my fingers. So we want both hands to be pretty much in the same direction, in the same place if you like. And as we start to apply tension on both straps here, we're then going to incline our head towards the hands. So what we're doing, we are working into the trapezius muscle again, and we're actually applying a little bit of tension to work against. So by pulling on both straps, we've activated both, lots of muscles in both arms, and those trapezius muscles on the left-hand side. So just noticing how this feels, sitting nice and tall, remembering to breathe. And then head and neck come center first, and then we can release. Just give your hands a bit of a break here, and let's swap over. So taking the left hand to the left hip in front, right hand comes behind, but comes all the way around to the left hip so that our fingertips can touch each other. And as we start to apply the tension on both ends of the strap, we can then take our head towards both those hands as well. So we're working against this stretch, so you can hopefully really feel into the trapezius. So the purpose of the strap is to engage the arms, first of all, so the arms are still actively doing some work, but so that you can actually pinpoint exactly where the work is going on here. When we take that stretch with our head to the left-hand side, it's those muscles there that we're working into. So we're kind of shining a spotlight on the area we're working. And then head and neck come center and release the tension in the strap. Ooh, might even set the strap to one side for now. I don't know if we'll use it again, we'll see. So just popping that somewhere. Last thing while we're seated, let's reach up with our right hand really tall, left hand comes beside the hip, and let's take a lateral stretch here. So really think about the space that you're creating between your hip and your armpit and the energy that's going out to the very ends of the fingertips. Really weigh heavy in the right hip here. Think about the subtle nuances when you take your awareness to weighing down heavy and not letting that hip come up, and then slowly let's straighten up. And going straight to the other side, so reaching up nice and tall, active in the fingers here. So we're almost lifting out of our seat, but we're not, we're weighing heavy. And let's take that bend over to the right hand side. Really reaching away. How much more can you reach away without leaving the mat? Stretch, 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 stretch. Oh, wow. So it's just realigned itself in my spine. That feels quite good. And then up to the top. Right arm to left knee. Left hand behind you, but really lift and lengthen. Get as much lift as you can. This is the most important thing about this twist. It's not the head and neck there. Pull that left shoulder back behind you and then look over towards the left. So hopefully you're aware of this stretch where we've been working into the shoulders. Let both thighs be heavy here. And then slowly head and neck come back to center. Let's untwist and go straight to the other side. So lift and lengthen before we go anywhere. Nice and tall. Really pull that right shoulder back. And then let's follow around with the head and neck. So noticing exactly where you're feeling this in the hip area. Where is your twist originating from? Might be different on this side. Can you feel that your rib cage is isolated somewhat from the hips? Head and neck come back to center. And then following that round. Oh, lovely job. So moving your cushion, blanket, whatever you're using, to one side, we're going to come around to all fours now. So slowly and carefully coming around to all fours, spreading your fingertips nice and wide, about shoulder width apart. Knees are underneath hips. You take this silly dangly top off. So finding your tabletop position. Before we start doing any kind of movement, I just want you to tweak and fine tune and become aware of what you're aware of here. So really clawing into each and every fingertip, everything spread wide here. And the L shape that you've got between thumb and index finger, really take your attention and your press into that area in particular. So we are strong in the arms, we're straight in the arms. And now think about your feet and your knees and your shins. So we're pressing actively into the tops of our feet. So this isn't a passive old thing where we're just kind of sat here on all fours. We are very active here, pressing into the tops of our feet and our knees. Engage your glutes if you're able, and make this a fully active pose to get the most out of it. And then from this position, we're going to bring the chin in towards the chest as we push the ground away even more. Really feel into those areas we've been working this morning. Stretching, stretching, stretching. As much space as possible between the shoulder blades, looking back through between our knees. And then slowly let's start to drop the belly and bring the chin forward. Exaggerating the natural curve of the lower back here. Chin is up. Really send those hips back. We're still pushing away from the mat, so make sure you have a collapse here, nice and strong in the arms. And then once more into angry cat position, so pushing the mat away, strong and straight in the arms. Really tuck the chin in. Really squash those feet down. Imagine that you're trying to pull the inner thighs towards each other. Lots going on here. And then back the other way, and keeping strong in the arms. Chin forward. Dipping in the back, bending the hips back. Hopefully you can feel a lovely stretch either side of your navel here, so down into the ab muscles, those that form part of your six pack. They're there. So just going into that stretch, then bend back, really strong in the shoulders. Imagine you're trying to squeeze a pencil between your shoulder blades here. So just bring your awareness here, very strong in the shoulders. And then let's just relax to where we think we are in neutral. So I say where we think we are. If we glance at our monitors, you might find that we thought you were in neutral and you're more kind of collapsed. So just coming to, we've got pretty much straight back, hands are underneath shoulders, pushing away actively, looking down between the thumbs here. And then taking the hands just a little bit further forward than we've just had them, and bringing the body weight forward a little bit. So we're starting to lever forward here. We're going to stretch the so that we have all our toes on the mat. And slowly and thoroughly, we're going to move forward and back. So we're starting to move through the sole of the foot, up through the Achilles and into the hamstrings. So we're just taking our body weight forward and back here. Noticing what's happening in the shoulders, squeezing the abs in. So it's a small second movement, but there's actually quite a lot going on if you tune into it. And let's bring that knee in. And then let's take the left leg behind and start to work through the left foot. So body weight's forward and back. So we're through the toes, if you like. So we're taking our foot into flexion and extension. Just noticing how this leg and foot and calf feel compared to the other. Again, bring your attention to your shoulders, really pushing away actively from the mat. And then bringing that knee back to center. And then from here, taking the weight into the right hand. Left hand comes up to the ear. And we're just going to take a twist. So elbows heading straight up towards the ceiling. You're just going to take a moment in here, really press into your feet and your hands. Make sure your body weight is forward. And then come down. And then we're going to take that to the other side. So hand comes up to the side. You might find, like me, you're very stiff on one side. It's not quite so easy. So as best you can, you try and get your elbow up. And then lower down. And now we're going to go straight into, excuse me, thread the needle. So taking your right hand underneath your left, the right side of your face and your right shoulder come down to the mat. And we're going to reach away overhead with our fingertips. So we're up on our fingertips like so. You can't quite see my fingers there, but fingers are at the left corner of the mat. Hips are high. We're just enjoying the stretch. See if you can release something in that left shoulder, in the armpit region. See if you can just soften. And then from here, bringing the hand back in, let's take it straight up towards the ceiling and just rotate a tiny bit so that we can see the palm. So we're creating a little bit of an extra twist in the upper body. And if you want to, if you feel okay here in this twist, you can take the bind version where we bend at the elbow, take the hand over our back and reach around to grab our right thigh. So that what that does, it just opens up a little more in the left-hand side. So we've got a bit more of a twist going on. If you were happier here, stay here. If you were even happier stretching ahead, go back to that. It's all about listening to your body where you're at today. So as I said before, we're starting to explore and dig a little bit deeper into these postures. Left hand comes back to mat near the face and use it to just help you back up to all fours. And we're going to go straight over to the opposite side now. So threading the left arm underneath the right. Left shoulder comes down to the mat, left side of the face. And we're going to reach away long to the right corner of the mat with our fingertips. So we're up on our fingertips, really stretching away. Finding your breath, sending your hips high and back. Really maximizing this stretch. Where else can you create a little more space? Think about relaxing that right shoulder. And then maybe you want to take the variation where we take the arm straight up and twisting a little to look at the palm. And just taking a few breaths here. And if you want to take the bind, bring the arm down behind you and just grab the left thigh or thereabouts if you are able. If not, just have the hand over the back, the small of your back, that's absolutely fine. And just create a little more twist there. Connect with the breath. And then slowly, let's bring that hand back down to the mat. And use that hand to bring us back to all fours. Taking hands a little further forward, let's take a couple of rounds of coming forward into hanging cobra. We're not going to stay here, we're just ironing out the work that we've done. And then back towards child's pose, really stretching away actively into the fingertips here. Once more forward into hanging cobra. Once more back. Once more forward into hanging cobra, where we're just going to take a couple of breaths. So really just being nice and strong here, pushing away actively, maybe widening your feet on the mat. So there should be no pinching or anything like that in your back. If you're finding that, then come down onto your forearms. But if you're reasonably comfortable here, we're just doing a little back bend whilst strengthening our arms and shoulders. See if you can just relax here for a moment, reconnect with your breath. So our gaze is just beyond the top of our mat. With our chin stuck up here or anything like that. And then slowly, 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 let's, in fact, do this slower than you'd like. Really concentrate on your weight in your hands as you start to take your body weight backwards. So hips are coming back towards your heels. We're really pushing the front of the mat away now, quite actively. Feel what a difference that makes in your shoulders. Let's widen our knees here and take extended wide-legged child's pose. Head comes down to the mat. We're still up on fingertips here, so we're nice and active in the shoulder girdle. And now let's take the left hand over until we can feel the left side of the mat and bring the right hand to join it. So you might need to move your head here. So we're starting to deepen the stretch into our hips here. So forehead is on the mat, right hand is stacked on top of left. And our bums are on or very close to our heels. And then slowly let's walk the right hand over to the right side of the mat and adjust over to the other side. So noticing how this feels, really bringing a sense of relaxation and release to your shoulders. And then back to center, and this time let your arms be really passive. So just let them be where they want to be, stop out stretching them, just resting on your forehead in this wide-legged child's pose. Connecting with your breath. And then very slowly making your way back into the all fours position. And tucking the toes here, bringing your attention into those pads between your thumbs and your fingers, starting to press forwards towards the edge of your mat. We're going to just hover our knees here. So knees are bent, bum is high, we're a few centimeters off the mat. I want you to soften your shoulders here, look between your thumbs, and we're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower. Untuck the toes, just push back for a moment. Coming forwards, tucking the toes, hovering the knees, up we go. So we're pushing, we're actively pushing away. So we're sending our hips back. Our torsos are on our thighs here. We're on our bent toes. And we're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Down you go. Push back into child's pose again. Release those toes. Take a couple of breaths. Back we go again. Last time, tucking the toes. So as we tuck the toes, our body weight is forward. And then we start to push into the hands and we push our body weight back. So in this lovely crouching position, really releasing the shoulders here. And think about what's happening in your thighs. Hopefully they're warming nicely. And we're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And start to straighten your legs now. So we're coming into downward facing dog. So taking a moment to set yourself up. Heels do not have to reach the mat. If you can get a better position with your knees bent, then do it. I prefer to have bent knees. But bring your awareness to your hips and send them as high as you can. Once you've set your hips up, then think about drawing the rib cage in, really sucking your tummy in. Once you've done that, think about where your ears are. They want to be between your biceps. Head and neck need to be soft. You need to shake yes, nod no. And then think about the energy that's going into the fleshy part of the palm of your hand and your fingertips. So here we are set up and down the face of the dog. And we're going to take 5 breaths here. I know we've probably done that already, but we're going to take a few breaths here. And we're going to walk the dog as well. So alternating, straightening one leg and then the other. So we're working again into the Achilles, the hamstrings, the calves, whilst keeping some activity going in the shoulders. And then coming to stillness and taking the weight into the left foot and leg. You might need to put your heel down for this. We're going to take the right leg high. So really think about pushing evenly into both hands here. And once we're here, just bending at the knee. And then letting that foot drop. So what we're doing, we're opening the right hip. Maybe turning to look at the sole of the right foot. So just get to where you get to. And then slowly let's straighten up again. Straighten that leg. Bring it down to the mat. Down to the knees. And let's take child's pose here. Woo. So if you need to give your wrists and arms a bit of a rest here, do just circle through the wrist. Because obviously we need to do that on the other side now. We're working up to a pose called Wild Thing, which is quite challenging, but we'll see how we get on with it. So coming back, ready to go back into down dog, so tucking the toes, body weight comes back, slowly, slowly, slowly. Let's take our torso towards our thighs. Maybe moving the right foot towards the center of the mat a little, making sure that our weight is evenly distributed between our hands. Let's take the left leg high this time. Let's just take a moment to see how that feels. Maybe your leg is still bent, maybe you've got your heel down. Just find a place of comfort. And then let's bend the left knee and just drop the foot down a little bit. So my foot's disappeared behind me. I'm going to look under my right armpit to see that foot. So the challenge here is to keep your weight into both hands. Well, we've got the hip open on the left-hand side here. We want to keep the weight into both hands here. You'll find that it naturally wants to go just into the right hand. So let's straighten the leg here, square off again. Slowly bring that leg down, down to knees. Let's take child's pose. Maybe wide leg child's pose, up to you. So it's quite strong, I appreciate that. Let's take the time doing it. Let's come straight back up. Tucking the toes, pushing our hips back. So centering the left foot here, right leg comes up again. Bending into the right knee, opening the right hip. Let me just have a quick look at you and check you're all coping with this, all right? That's it. So you're almost looking under the armpit for the sole of the right foot. And then from here to do Wild Thing, all we're going to do is start pivoting on that left foot. So the left foot starts to turn towards the right. And we're bringing our right foot down towards the mat, and then we're reaching up and overhead. It might be a stretch too far for today, but this is where we're aiming for. So we're going from leg up to slowly bringing it down to the floor so that we can reach up. So if you're not there yet, don't despair. Let's just concentrate on getting that hip open, because the more you can open that hip and look at that foot, the more chances you've got of getting it closer to the floor. So resting that leg down, now we'll go straight into the other side. Left leg comes up, bending at the knee, opening the hip, looking underneath the armpit there. And if and when you're ready, start to pivot on that foot, bringing the left foot down, and then we can take the other arm up. So this is very strong in the shoulders, which is why we spent so long warming the back. If you notice my right foot, I am spread almost entirely over the sole of my right foot. And then slowly let's come back to center. Leg comes down, let's drop to knees, let's take child's pose. Woo! I'm glad I can't hear you in particular, Linda. I'm sure you'd have something to say about all this. I look forward to hearing it later. So just taking a moment to grab your breath here and notice what sensations have come up. We've really worked our shoulders very hard today. We've done a lot of loading onto the shoulders. So it's interesting to note how the energy is flowing, how it's affecting your breath and your general flow of energy in your body. Very slowly from here, we're going to come to downward facing dog once more. So tucking the toes, pushing the chest back towards the thighs. And this time we're going to look towards our hands, which is where we're going. And slowly and mindfully, we're going to make our way up to the top of the mat. So zigzagging across your mat, taking as long as possible, bending your knees, we're walking our feet towards our hands. So bend your knees as generously as you need to get there. And then when you get there, placing your toes between your hands, bending your knees generously. And let's just take a moment here to forward fold. Sending the hips as high as you can. Legs don't need to be straight here, but we still can get a really good hamstring stretch. And just taking a moment, enjoying this inversion. Hands are on the floor. Very slowly tucking the chin right into the chest. Let's roll all the way up to the top. Slowly, 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 all the way to the top, and then untuck the chin. Oh, just taking a moment here. In fact, let's take both arms up and overhead. Grab left wrist with right hand, and let's take a little lateral stretch to the right. Stretching out through that side body, up through center. Arms come down. Big inhale, arms come all the way up again. Let's have a little look at the thumbs here. Take a tiny back bend here. So just pressing the hips forward, back to center. Grab right wrist with left hand. And let's take that lateral stretch over towards the left. Just noticing how that feels. And back to center. Right, from here, I'm just going to face you so you can see what I'm doing a bit more. I just realised half of me is not in the shot. Terrible. We can do something about that. And then from here, we are going to, no, that's too much now. Sorry, standing in Tadasana with your feet approximately hip width apart. We're going to cross the right foot in front of the left. Now, really think about the placement of your feet here. It's almost impossible to straighten both legs. So concentrate on the left leg being straight. And your right foot wants to be about a fist width apart from the other foot. We want a nice stable base here. So once you're set up there, let's tuck the pelvis under, really bring your attention to your posture. Shoulders are rolled round and back, we're into Tadasana. Chin comes into chest, and slowly, 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 we are going to roll all the way down. One vertebrae at a time. Arms and shoulders are really passive and heavy here. Let gravity take them. So you will get to a point where you feel that left hamstring tighten and engage. We want to stop there. So resting your hands wherever you are at. So maybe you want to rest them on your shins. Maybe your fingertips are towards the mat. Whatever you do, just make sure your shoulders are heavy here, head and neck are just being assisted by gravity. And then let's grab opposite elbows and just hold the elbows here. Feel the stretch a little more intensely into your glutes now. Let's connect with the breath. Head and neck are soft. And then slowly unraveling the arms. And one vertebrae at a time, keeping that chin tucked in. Arms are heavy and dangling. Let's find our way back up to the top. Ooh. From here, as we uncross that leg, let's lift the knee up, hands come to the hips. Let's take the knee out to the side. Let's have a moment of balance here. And slowly bring that foot down. Well done. Right, we better do the other side. So crossing the left foot over the right, just placing yourself, bring yourself to a nice upright position. Shoulders are rolled round and back, arms are slightly forward, chin tucks in, and let's start to make our way down. No rush here, just noticing when various bits suddenly kick in. Shoulders very heavy here. Arms are dangling. Feel the engagement of the right hamstring. And then once you're there, let's grab opposite elbows and really try to send our hips a little bit higher here. Perhaps bringing the chin a little bit closer to the thighs. Connect with the breath. If you find that you're holding the breath here, maybe just releasing a little bit, coming up a little bit more. You must breathe with this, otherwise the muscles can't relax and lengthen. And then releasing the arms, tucking the chin right in. Let's roll our way all the way back up, nice and slowly. Arms are still dangling and heavy. All the way up to the top. Hands come to hips. And as we uncross that leg, let's bring the knee high out to the side. Take a moment to balance here. Flex and point the foot. And slowly bring that foot down. Woo, well done. Right, so back to Tadasana at the top of our mats. We're going to take a nice big inhale in, arms come all the way to the top. Exhale all the way down into a nice swallow. So come down to the mat here. We're looking back through the legs. Inhale to halfway lift. So we're looking forwards. Exhale to fold. And we're going to step back with right foot long. Step back with left foot long. And we're going to come into plank. So just really making sure that your bums are down here, that you're not in a very, very long downward sausage dog. We want to be in a nice plank here. So very strong in the shoulders. Shoulders are directly above hands. Looking down. Really push back your heels to make your hamstrings engage. Try and relax your shoulders. I'm going to stay here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly release onto the knees. Untuck the toes and push back here. Just take a moment. In fact, let's take puppy pose where our hips are in the air, forearms are out in front of us, parallel. Taking a moment and then tucking the toes, pressing back into downward facing dog. Just taking a moment here, looking towards our hands, which is where we're going to go. And we're just going to step forward with the right foot so that we're in a nice lunge here. We're going to lower the knee. So we're in a nice long, and you can't see what I'm doing. Right. So we step back, we move forward with right leg, can't we? Left leg was back long, and foot is tucked here. Just taking a moment so we're up nice and tall on our fingertips, and then let's get to the point where we can come up onto our knees. So our leg is at a right angle at the front. We don't want to be forward, taking the weight. We want the 2 bones in the lower leg to be doing the load bearing work. We want to be able to come up on this back knee. Just take a moment here, and then let's take an inhale all the way up. Lean back just a tiny bit, and then bring the hands all the way down. As we bring the hands down, we're going to wriggle that right foot all the way over to the side of the mat. We're going to untuck the back foot. So we're in a really low, long lunge here. This is lizard. So the right foot is outside of our right hand. It's on the outside edge of the mat, if you can see where my leg is. And then we're just going to take the right hand onto the right knee, and we're going to turn to look to see if we can see our left foot here. So really push strongly out of the left shoulder. You'll feel the work that we did earlier into the trapezius muscles here. So taking this little twist here and slowly coming back to center. Hand comes down to the mat, and very slowly we're going to start to take our hips back towards the other leg. And as we do so, we're straightening the front leg, pulling the toes back so that we're flexed into the right foot here. So this is a half monkey split. So walk your hands back to where you're comfortable. You should have a very strong engagement in the back of this right leg here. So just taking a moment to enjoy and embrace whatever's going on here. And then slowly let's roll back through that foot as we take our hands forward. And from here, left hand comes to the mat, right hand, we're just going to take a little twist up here. Find your breath. And then hand comes back to the mat, tuck the back toes, lift up on that back leg so that we're in this nice lunge here, really stretching away, and then start to take the hips back as we bring the right leg back to join the left in downward facing dog. So never before have we been so relieved to be back in downward facing dog. I'm just going to take a few breaths here. So really tune in with your shape. Ribs are tucked in, tummy's tucked up, hips are high, knees are slightly bent. We're pushing away into those fingertips. And now looking towards the hands, which is where we're going to go. We can come up onto our toes, and we're going to step forward with the left foot. So we're in a nice long lunge here. We're really spiking away through the heel of the outstretched right leg. Then we're going to set that knee down. So just taking a moment here. Coming up onto that front knee, you can untuck the back foot if you would prefer. We want a nice right angle in this front leg. And then just taking an upward salute here, looking up towards the hands, really finding some length in this posture. And then as we exhale, bringing the hands down to the mat, but creeping the left foot over to the left side of the mat. So we're in this very long lunge now. The hip flexor on the right hand side is getting a good old stretch. Just taking a moment here, so we're nice and strong in the fingertips. We're nice and tall. I'm going to take the left hand to the left knee here. I'm going to turn and take a little look and see if we can see our right foot. So maybe your twist isn't as intense as this. It's just a kind of direction that you're going in. We're looking over the left shoulder, that's good enough. So just taking a moment here to connect with your breath. Try and find some release in that right thigh. See if you can just breathe some sense of release. And then slowly head and neck come back to center. Both hands to the mat. And we're going to start to take our hips back towards the back foot. And as we do so, we're walking the hands back and we're going to flex into the left foot. So just come far enough where you can feel that stretch down the left hamstring. I like monkey split. I think it's a nice one. Really tune into what's going on here. So just taking a moment here, sinking back a little, as if you were going to sit down on that back leg. Maybe nose is coming towards the knee. And then slowly let's walk the hands forward. Let's bring the foot back down to the mat. Right hand stays on the mat. And with the left hand, let's reach up into our twist here. So we're still in this lovely hip flexor opening position. Be nice and active in the arm and the palm. And then slowly looking back down to the mat. Both hands come back to the mat at about shoulder width apart, tucking the toes into the back foot. Let's raise up onto that leg. So we're in a really long, strong lunge here. Just take a moment to appreciate this lovely shape and the lines of energy. And very slowly, as we start to take that hip back, let's move the left foot back to join the right in downward facing dog. So really just set yourself up here, take whatever moves feel nice. Have a little rock forward and back into the shoulders, pushing away actively into the fingertips and the feet, hips are high. Just taking a moment here to appreciate your shape. And then carefully, mindfully, and with much joy, lower yourself softly to your knees and take whatever version of child's pose feels right for you right now. I'm going wide leg child's pose, passive arms, just going to rest here. So just taking a good few breaths to let your hips take the counter posture from what we've just been doing. And then from here, whatever you're doing with your arms, just bend out the elbows, bring your hands together in prayer, and just bring the hands over the head. So we're very slightly pushing into the elbows here. So we're trying to push the mat away with our elbows. And we're just bringing a bit of engagement back to the shoulder girdle, really widening between the both scapula here, creating some space. Making sure you can still breathe. And slowly let's take those hands back down over our head. Palms to the mat, and let's walk the hands in towards the body. Oh. And take a little moment here. And then we're going to walk the hands all the way forward, and we're going to come down into a prone position. So we're on our tummies here. Line up your elbows with your armpits. Forearms are parallel. We're looking down between our hands, squeezing the shoulder blades together here. Just taking a moment to set yourself up. Tops of the feet are pressing into the mat. Thighs are pressing into the mat. Pubic bones pressing into the mat. Looking between our thumbs. We're just going to lift from the mat here, really creating some space in our shoulders. So hips are on the mat, but upper body is off. We're looking directly down, so we've got lots of length in our cervical spine here. So really make this an active stretch. So the arms should be fired up here, but the forearms are pressing down, which will light up the biceps and the triceps. There shouldn't be any pinching in your lower back. If there is, just come out of this immediately, but this should feel like quite a nice kind of restful posture, I suppose. And then slowly let's lower down and wing both those elbows out to the sides as we come down. And leaving your right forearm parallel to the top of the mat. I want you to bend into your left knee and reach round to take hold of the right foot, the left foot. So left hand is holding left foot. We're looking down, we're pressing down with right foot, right thigh, and the pubic bone. And now we're going to press the top of the foot into the hand as we lift ourselves up. So this is half bow. So we're very active in the arm, we're very active in the leg. Two opposing forces going on here. Really use that forearm to assist you here. Maybe you need to change where it is. I like mine right underneath me so I can get a good stretch. So you'll probably feel this most in your thigh and your shoulder. So push, push, push. We're trying to create lots of space between the heel and the bum here. And then slowly lower and release. Let's place that leg down. Go straight to the other side, bending into the right knee, reaching around to hold the right foot, looking down, engaging the left side of the body here as we press down and we kick that foot away. So foot is going into hand, hand is resisting, so we've got lots of space between the heel and the bum. We're in a little back bend here. And slowly let's lower right down. So coming down now so that we're on our chins, we're going to bend both legs here. We're going to reach around with both hands for both feet. Really shuffle the knees together here. And then when you're ready, we are going to pull up into our hands and our feet into a full bow pose. So we are resting on the bottom of our rib cage and our pubic bone. And we're just going to take a few breaths here. Try not to hold your breath. 3, 2, 1, and slowly lower down. Hands come in front, stack one hand on top of the other, make a little pillow. Let the toes roll in towards each other. And let's just take a moment here in crocodile pose. Maybe have a little wiggle from hip to hip here. And then slowly outstretching your right arm away from the body. And bringing your left hand next to your armpit. I want you to roll onto your right hip. So we're leaning our shoulder where it is. You can bend your left knee, bring the foot in front of the body so that we're in this side stretch, and we're stretching out the shoulder for one last time. The rotator cuff in particular. So just being mindful if this is a very strong stretch for you. We're trying to roll this left hip back. Maybe taking the left arm behind you just to roll into this shoulder as well. And then slowly, slowly, slowly rolling back onto your front. And now let's reach away with the left arm, right ankles away from the body, and slowly roll onto the left hip as we bring the right knee up to support. Just noticing how you feel on this side, maybe taking the other arm behind you to assist here. And then slowly bringing that knee back down and over. And making your way very mindfully and carefully over onto your back. And gotcha. So coming to lay supine now. The end is nigh, girls. The end is nigh. So bending both knees here, soles of the feet are on the mat. Just taking a moment to really let your shoulders spread and be heavy here. Palms are upturned. Just take a moment. Feeling for the edge of the mat with the soles of your feet. So take one foot either side of the mat so your feet are nice and wide. And let the knees roll in towards each other. So we've got an internal rotation of both the hips, which is not something the body usually naturally chooses to do, but we're just making sure that we're nice and mobile in the hips and that we don't have any sticking points. Tucking the chin very slightly just to allow that extra length in the cervical spine. And then slowly walking the feet in towards each other. And let's take a couple of rounds of working into bridge pose. So just curling the pelvis forward and back to start with, perhaps raising up a little each time you roll the pelvis in, making sure that your thighs stay parallel and that they're not, your knees aren't splaying out. So coming a little bit higher each time. And then the next time we raise our hips up, we're going to stay here. So really pushing down into the soles of the feet, sending the knees forward. We're going to creep our shoulder blades together. So really switch them together. That will allow you a little more height Maybe clasping your hands underneath your bum here, really tucking the chin in. And breathe. I'm going to stay here for 5 breaths. Making sure the glutes are switched on. 2 more breaths. And then unclasping the hands and very, very slowly rolling back down through the spine as we lay each and every vertebra down. Oh. And then from here, crossing the left leg all the way over the right. Arms come away from the body just a little, and we're going to let the knees roll over towards the right hand side. So keeping both shoulders on the mat, taking the spinal twist here. And maybe lifting and turning the head to the opposite side. Breathing as deeply as you're able here. Feeling the stretch in your left glute. There are 100 other places too, but that's where the main one is. And slowly head and neck come back to center. Let's roll those knees back up to center. Uncross the legs here. And then take the right leg over the left. And this time let's slowly and mindfully start bringing both knees down towards the left hand side. When you get to where you're going, lifting and turning the head to look in the opposite direction. Feeling the stretch wherever you're feeling it, but probably most notably in the right glute. Connect to your breath here. Slowly rolling, bring your head and neck to center first. And then let's bring those knees back up to center and uncross both legs. And let's take one leg up straight in the air and the other leg straight up in the air. And let's just take a moment here with our legs up, because it's such a nice thing to do. Palms are upturned. Let's just take a moment. Flatten as much of your spine into the mat as you can. So really think about your spine being flat and long here. Maybe closing your eyes, tuning in with the sensations in your legs and your shoulders. We haven't done hundreds of moves today, but we have been quite thorough in what we've done. So hopefully your muscles are feeling like they've done some work. We've really done some exploring of what we're doing. We've had a look at Wild Thing with our hips really open. And then from this lovely position, just bend. Let's widen the legs first. Take your legs really wide apart and then bend your knees. And then let's reach between the knees and take hold of the sides of the feet. So happy baby, you know how much I love this. It seems nice that we bring our practice to a close with this very nice restorative posture. Just taking a little roll from side to side, and then perhaps pushing one leg away, then the other, as though you're trying to straighten the legs, which kind of brings this little rocking undulation. And then coming to stillness, releasing the feet, one foot to the mat, then the other, one leg way long, then the other. Arms down by the side of the body, palms are upturned. And get yourself nice and comfy for your version of Shavasana. So whatever that is for you, maybe you want a blanket on, socks, perhaps you want a cushion under your knees. Just finding your place of ultimate comfort here. Let the ankles be really wide, unless of course you've got your knees bent. Some of you like to take Shavasana with your knees bent. Some of you like to take it in Baddha Konasana with your soles of your feet together. Your choice entirely. But let's let go of the practice that we've devoted our time to for the last hour or so. And let's just bring our attention back within again once more. So taking this time to start to slow everything right down again. No work to be done. Just trying to release everything into the mat now. Try and let it all go. Bringing your attention once more to your breath. And seeing if you can just hold on to the exhale for a little bit longer than the inhale. And maybe silently working through your body, doing a little body scan and releasing where you can. And then coming to a point of complete stillness and silence. Just for the next minute or so. Letting everything just soften and still. So starting to deepen the breath just a little. Bringing small movements back to your fingers and toes. Taking whatever moves you feel your body might benefit from at the moment. Perhaps you want to take a full overhead stretch, reaching away with the fingers and toes. Slowly bringing one knee in towards the chest and then the other. Maybe taking a moment to massage your lower back before coming to roll over onto your side. Just taking a few breaths here, letting the blood pressure equalize. And slowly making your way up to a seated position. Once you're seated, just bowing your head once more, feeling that lovely stretch in the back of your neck and joining the palms together here. So noses towards tips of fingers, really pulling those shoulders down. And let's just take this moment of acknowledgement for the time that we set aside for the practice today, for which I'm truly grateful, girls. Thank you for helping make this happen. I get as much out of it as I hope you do. And I hope that you've truly been able to appreciate your amazing bodies today. Have a lovely day. Namaste. How are we all?
That was